This is my budget sim rig. Budget. That's my budget dog. Welcome. I always feel like this is not a investment, especially for toys, but we live in some very strange capitalist prone times where everything's getting marked up. So we will talk about that today. And yes, I was channeling my inner Doug DeMuro. Screw off. Let me dream, okay? Dreams. Salutations, YouTubes. It's me, the Italian Tune-Up Pro. I am back after a long hiatus of not doing this and putting in the effort for YouTube, but I promise this time I will actually start pumping out content. First thing with the whole budget setup. I say it's budget because I scored a solid deal on Facebook Marketplace. So basically whenever I got this, it was 2 years ago. Unfortunately, there's a lot of degens out there price gouging these things. So the key is to stay diligent in your search and you'll eventually find something of the sorts. I happen to get this whole setup, which I'll explain, except for my e-brake, which I got this year, and also my shifter mount for my shifter. Just kind of an overview of what you're here for. This is Logitech G27 mounted onto a playseat challenge with the pedals and the H-pattern gearbox as well, along with an Amazon Chinese e-brake, which is actually very nice and very heavy duty. So heavy duty that I actually, the first time using it, I didn't know I was cutting my hand open because I was doing some drifting. It gets a little sporadic, so I ended up cutting my hand open and bleeding, and I didn't realize. So now I wear, what you'll see later, some racing gloves, even though they're not actual racing gloves, but that's neither here nor there. You'll see. They're Sparco, okay? Leave me alone. But that being said, I got this whole setup for around 250 bucks, let's call it. So a long time ago, it was in 2018, I found this Facebook Marketplace ad for the seat, the playseat challenge, and then the actual steering wheel and everything, all already put together from a gentleman, bless his soul, for 100 bucks. The gentleman had this whole bracket, I guess if you want to call it a bracket, set up where the gear shifter was up here. Think of it, if you will, like a Honda Civic Si, EP, whatever. I'll probably display a picture here of that car, the little egg Honda Civic Si that we had where the dash mounted gear shifter was. That's what I felt like it was, either that or a rally car with everything just right here. And it worked out well. So it worked out well for the time being. I eventually got this nice 3D printed shifter mount from Etsy. I will also link that in the description as well. And it works out great. It's just the thing is I had to get used to shifting down where a shifter normally is. So the Etsy website states, I think, that you can do it the left-hand shifter, so those of you all across the pond and everywhere else, not in America, or you can just be like me and learn how to drive on the opposite side like I did in the Initial D video game where the shifter's over here. It's really easy. You can totally do it. You're fine. You're a car person. You've got that. This whole setup was a steal. I will say you cannot find it like it is now. So the playseat challenge typically retails for around 200 bucks alone, brand new. Obviously this was used. And the Logitech G27s, I've seen some person that was probably on a mixture of PCP and cocaine list their Logitech G27 for 500 bucks on Facebook Marketplace, which is asinine. It's insane. There are good people out there. There are good deals. Make low offers. Worst they can say is no. I'm not going to get into a review of all this, but I will say that it does the job. It does the job very well. And for what it is right now, for the past 2 years, I've had no complaints. I will eventually upgrade to the more expensive phonetic setup. I'll skip Thrustmaster, even though I did check out Thrustmaster's highest offerings with the Hoonigans a while back when they were at RTX in Austin. I even got to meet Hurt. And I did a video on that as well in my first couple of videos that I did for this channel. And I don't see a need to move the Phonetic. Then again, I have not tried all this stuff yet, and I'm sure it'll be some sort of revelation for me to just be like, oh my god, this is incredible. What have I been missing out on? It gets the job done. You know, one thing I will complain about is the pedals are like on and off switches. I don't have any feedback. One of the best mods you can do for yourself for a sim rig is set up your pedals. Like, so I'm thinking the first thing I'm going to do is get some pedals from Phonetic, probably the Club Sports, and see what that does, because people swear by it. Next thing I want to talk about is the Fitment. It is pretty nice for me. I'm 5'11", probably about 185 to 190 pounds. I don't know. I've been eating a lot since this whole thing happened, so I packed on a few pounds. It's not bad. It's not too narrow. There is tons of Velcro adjustments on the Playseat Challenge. The only complaint I have is I feel like I'm T-Rex arming whenever I'm driving because the steering wheel is so damn close to my face. Other than that, I can sit in this thing for like 1 to 2 hours if I wanted to without losing circulation in my legs, which is awesome. I have a friend that is around 6'3" or so and probably 220 pounds, very tall gentleman, and he fits in here just fine. The pedals themselves can be adjusted backwards, which is really nice. The thing is, when I got this, the glue had taken itself off of the actual pedal mounts where you can kind of screw them in, and they would slide out. So my legs would shoot out while I'm in the middle of a race or drifting, and it would be really frustrating. So what I did was I kind of ghetto rigged it and went to Lowe's and got myself like a little tie strap, tie down, and I ended up looping it from the front to the portion of the chair itself, and then just buckled it down, and I set it to my height, not a peep, which is awesome. So that's one way if you wanted to fix that issue. Super easy fix. One thing I will say, this whole setup is awesome for VR. What's not awesome is not being able to see your hands, where the wheel position is, and then also like the shifter and everything right here. If you have a decent PC, this is really good to have. My PC is around, I got it used also off of Facebook Marketplace because I am a cheap bastard for 800 bucks. I can turn around and sell this setup and my PC and turn it for a profit if I wanted to now. So I got my PC. The specs are, it's a GeForce 1080 for the win graphics card, not a TI, and then 16 gigabytes of RAM, also an Intel i7-6700 processor. Gets the job done. New monitors for what I want are really expensive, so VR is a really good alternative if you can stomach it. Most of the time people can stomach it, but you might want to try it out if you've got a friend that has VR just to see how you feel. Make sure you adjust your IPD though, so you don't throw up everywhere. That's just basically your distance between your pupils. So my first time with VR was on my friend's Lenovo Windows Mixed Reality headset, and I actually bought that from him for 100 bucks, and I spent an hour in that setup at his house and did not get sick. My IPD was not set right either. So just try it out and see what you think. I have since then sold that for the same amount of money that I purchased it for, turned around and bought a used, again, barely used, Oculus Rift S. So I ended up selling the Windows Mixed Reality headset. I've been using the Oculus Rift S, which you will see here in a moment. Super comfy. I don't need an Oculus Quest because I'm strictly attached to my PC here at home. I don't need to move around too much, except for when I'm playing like Half-Life Alyx. But for racing, it is awesome. So good substitute for triple monitors. I'm eventually going to buy one of those Samsung G9 crazy, like 48-inch display that curves around. That'll be a good supplement for the triple monitors. I think it's around the same price. You might actually spend a little bit more on triple monitor setup depending on what kind of monitors you buy. So I figure that might be a good little investment later on. Otherwise, I am totally happy with this setup, not having to do any Phonetic or Thrustmaster even. I wanted to show you guys what that all looked like. So what I'm going to do is we're going to fire up the PC. I am pretty excited for this. So, let's go check it out. And here we are. We are in my VR rig now. This is my typical stream setup with my face down here and wheel, and you can see my pedals and everything right here. If you can't tell, I'm wearing little Miata socks with rainbows on there. We're going to go on some local Texas tracks. The only 2 tracks I've actually been on in real life. I've been on Circuit of the Americas before, and also on a local track called Harris Hill Raceway. Granted, these are fan-made, downloadable tracks. The aftermarket support for Assetto Corsa is fantastic. That's why this game is older, but the community is going very strong today. We're going to dive into my content manager here, which I recommend you get. It is extremely easy to use and a much better interface than what the Italians gave us for the original Assetto Corsa. Here we are at Circuit of the Americas, getting ready to do a flying lap in a Ferrari F2004, one of my favorite cars to drive. One thing about this is the sound. It sounds pretty mediocre. Luckily, going back to aftermarket support for this game, there are sound packs which make the sound a lot better in these cars, which I have not installed yet, obviously, but this is the stock sound from Assetto Corsa. Going through the S's. Don't cut here in iRacing, because you will be penalized. For some reason. I don't know why. If I spin out, I'm just going to go off the excuse that I don't have ABS or traction control on there. I'm a real man. I am a computer. I don't need a computer to tell me how to drive. Just kidding. I use ABS in real life because I have to. That was one very mediocre lap of Circuit of the Americas. Next, we're going to go on to Harris Hill Road. One thing to say about that before we jump in is you'll notice that the textures and detail on that map are very, very sparse. It's specifically made as a training tool. It's a piss poor job for the scenery. It doesn't do Harris Hill Road any justice whatsoever. As far as I'm concerned, that place in real life is just absolutely gorgeous. I'd recommend doing some YouTube searching for Harris Hill Raceway if you're not familiar or in the Texas area. So we're going to move on to that right about now. Here we are at Harris Hill Raceway in, well, I should say Austin, Texas, but it's not. It's actually in San Marcos, Texas, which is pretty close. This model does not do this track justice, which is fine. This is merely a learning tool, as I had stated earlier, for learning the actual driving line of this track. And it does a good job getting that down. But here we are in a around 600 all-wheel horsepower R34 GTR. And of course you've got your obligatory Godzilla little hangy buddy there. And you can do little all-wheel drive skids. This car, sometimes it understeers, sometimes it oversteers, but it's always a fun time regardless of what happens. I love this car. It's part of the Shotoku Revival project, which is another mod pack that they have for this game, and it's based on the Wengun Knight racers of the old Japan there. And it's just such a fun car to drive. It's stupid. Like on throttle, you're oversteer. Off throttle, you're probably still oversteer, and it's just a fun time. I will be most likely attending a track day here coming up within about a month, I should say, unless they decide to cancel it, which I hope not. But if they do, that'll be fine too, because I need to do some brake work to my car first. Might not even go depending on my brakes, so we'll see. Oh, you got a little understeer? Just give it some more throttle. Ooh, big skids. Let's eat the rev limiter. And that does happen on this track. And again, if you go off on this track, it's as simple as making sure you stop and come back into the pits and make sure that you didn't break anything. But yeah, that's one of the many games you can do with the driving rig, especially in VR. A lot of the racing games nowadays luckily have VR support, which is awesome. So again, if you don't want to do triple monitor and you can stomach VR, it's highly worth it. Great training tool and just a lot of fun, a lot of stupid fun, especially if you go online with some buddies. Whether you're into drifting or racing or just fooling around, it's just a blast. Just slide around like that. Doing some stupid stuff now. Oh man, all-wheel drive drifting is a blast. Oh, it's a breeze. Flip that apex. This is so weird doing this in VR. Ah! And we're spinning it. Okay, well, that's the end of that. In closing, y'all stay frosty out there on those Facebook marketplaces. If you're anything like me, you're always on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, OfferUp, looking at shit you don't need, but you can find one of these for a reasonable price within your area. Just stay diligent. I promise it'll happen. If you enjoyed this, I'm going to be making more content. So please subscribe and check me out on Twitch. My name is @Narstig. Follow me on Instagram. It's @VroomVroom in my Zoom. Thank you for stopping by. Thanks for watching the whole damn video. You're awesome. I hope to see you in the future. Bye.